I say to you, he who gets the KD17s is actually getting the KD18s. Same, but different. Here is why. Now the reason I've got the KD17s and the 18s is just to draw a comparison between how similar these uppers are. Now I would have thought they would have upgraded it to a very different type of material and a very different type of mechanism or actual build-up, but they seem to be very much the same. As you can see, you've got these tabs that run from the midsole up into the lace lines, and they've pretty much just copy pasted and done the same thing in the KD18s. Now to be fair, the difference, this mesh material they've used in the 17s is a little bit less breathable than the 18s, and I'll put the mapping up for the KD18 here. But as you can see, pretty much from the midfoot all the way through to the forefoot, you do get a good amount of breathability, and the light is actually escaping pretty much from every place where this mesh is exposed. The midfoot, the lacing does lock down quite well in the midfoot. No sort of lacing irritation. Although the tongue is quite thin, you do get a good lockdown because of these tabs that run on either side. So I've got 5 tabs medial, 5 tabs lateral, but no sort of issues there. The lace is quite thin, so when I was cranking down on these, it seemed like the material wasn't cranking down as much as I'd like it to, but if you do change the lacing to something similar to the lacing on the KD17s, I think you'll actually have a better lockdown here in the midfoot. Now here in the midsole, we've actually got an air zoom unit in the forefoot, similar to how they had it set up in the 17, but they've actually got Nike's latest Cushioning foam here in the rear foot, which actually has a bit more impact protection and a bit more comfort than the 17s. So when I compare the two, the 17s seem to be a little bit lower to the ground. The 18s are a bit more cushioning, a bit more impact protection, but I think specific players will like that nice cushion feel underneath. I'm a bit more of a nimble, maybe a shiftier player, so the 17s fit my play style a bit better. I think if you like something that's a bit more soft, a bit more plush, when you get these on and you compare them to the 17s, you could feel the difference pretty much straight away, but that does start to bottom out as you break these in more and more. And to be fair, at the end of the day, it really comes down to your play style, what you're doing more of on the field. So onto the traction, which is pretty much copy and paste from the 17s onto the 18s. We've got air zoom written on the side here where that lateral flange is. Literally the exact same pattern, which is multi-directional. I've got the 17s in a translucent rubber, the 18s in a dyed rubber, and upon feeling them, the translucent rubber definitely has a bit of a firmer feel. There's less give in that material. The 18s do have deeper grooves though, so keep that in mind. I think these might be more suitable for indoor. The 17s are probably more suitable for an outdoor surface, but the new KD18s definitely have improved on the depth of groove. The rubber compound itself might be different in different colorways, but this specific colorway that I've got has this dyed rubber, which has actually a good amount of give to it. So on an indoor surface, I think these would grip a lot better than an outdoor surface, but you'll just run through this traction if you do play on an outdoor surface. So keep that in mind. We've got the KD symbol here in the midsole, the midfoot, and to be fair, it's literally copy paste again. The back of the shoe, we've got the KD easy money symbols, which also have no impact on the performance, but overall it's literally copy paste. And to be fair, the traction is quite good, right? These are one thing these shoes do really well. Now when we're going into the rear foot and the fit of these, one thing that Nike doesn't really do very well is their fit. And to be fair, when you're looking at the forefoot of these, that heavy taper that they have on the toe box is a little bit irritating, let's just say. Now I did have a bit of irritation on the first and the fifth, but here in the rear foot, I think this heel slippage that I was getting personally was coming from the mismatch with the foot shape, right? Because there is that heavy flare in the rear foot, and that material tends to want to flare out a lot. Even when the shoelaces are cranked down, the heel slippage is a bit more excessive. The 17s didn't have as much of a problem, especially when I'm looking down the barrel of them. The material in the 17s tend to tuck in quite nicely around that midfoot section. The 18s tend to flare out a little bit more, right? So there needs to be a lot more crank down in the laces. I'd be just changing the laces in these if you do decide to pick up a pair. But overall, I would say go true to size to these. You may have a little bit of pinching, a little bit of irritation in the forefoot, potentially going up half a size. If you're a wide or extra wide foot, definitely go up half a size to a full size. And I'd be trying these type of shoes in store first before I make any sort of purchases, because fit isn't really their strong point. The rear foot, I'm gonna take the 17s over the 18s pretty much any day. And quite honestly, I think the fit is something that Nike really needs to work on. So although it is a little bit disappointing that they copy pasted a lot of things from the 17s, to me it just doesn't justify the price increase from the 17s. The fact that you can pick these up for about 160, 180 here in Australia, and these are running for about 220. The differences does not justify the price increase for me personally. So I'd still be picking up the 17s if I was to go into shop today. I personally prefer something a little bit lower to the ground and something a little bit more responsive like the 17s. Now the 18s do have a better breathability than the 17s. They do have a little bit better impact protection and cushioning, which some people will appreciate, especially when you're on court. And to be fair, once you break this material in, you will get a nice amount of court feel, but it's just not as good as the 17s. Now, personally, I think if you are a heavier player, I'd be trying out the 18s. If you're more of a guard, point guard, shiftier player, maybe someone who's a quicker player, I'd be sticking to the KD17s, but just keep in mind the shape of these shoes unfortunately are not the most user-friendly, right? Even on the traction, when you're looking at them, I think the 18's probably a little bit more forgiving, but these forefoots are notorious for causing forefoot issues. So to be fair, I don't know how KD's performing at the level he's performing with shoes. I assume he's got his own custom lasts in his shoes, but you know, to get shoes this way and shape is very interesting to me. But look, to be fair, they do a lot of things good traction. I actually like the bite of these on an indoor surface. Be mindful when you're on outdoor, you'll run through this traction really quickly. But look, at $220 here in Australia, I think you can probably pick up better shoes at that price point. I'm semi okay with them. I just think, you know, if you're gonna pick up a shoe like this, you might as well go back a model, save yourself a few dollars and enjoy pretty much the exact same thing. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing something like this. If you guys have a specific shoe in mind that you guys want a review on, leave that down below in the comment section. And when you're done with that, hit this playlist up here, as there's gonna be a few more shoe reviews similar to these. So I'll see you guys in the next video.